Hello and welcome back. Today I thought it'd be a good day to do a Cyma automatic. So this is the first automatic model, a bumper, and this was a little bit of a eBay purchase many years ago, and it's been lying in my drawer ever since, and it deserves a little video being put back to its former glory. As you can see, it's looking pretty sorry for itself. We're missing the crown. That's obviously broken off a long time ago, and the case is fairly beaten, and I do believe it has this original crystal. It's a very nice case, stainless steel. It's got a good size to it as well. In here we got the Cyma calibre 420, which is the bumper automatic, and it'd be very cool to see if we can get this working again. See, that's a little ratchet. It's actually inside the oscillating weight itself. And you got these two little nice dampers here. The springs in them. They work, so that's good. So the idea is that when you bump back and forth, they will absorb the shock, making it less rattly. Everything seems to be quite seized up and gunky, but a bit of discoloration, but overall I think this might clean up quite nicely after being serviced. We're missing, I think I've robbed this for parts another time for customers watching. It used to have a cap jewel in it. I do have a box of parts for it, hence why I'm kind of thinking it's a good time to see if we can revive this Cyma bumper. Let's get it out the case and have a look at the dial. It's pretty cool construction on these. This is like the triplex and the water sports. They have this system. You got a spring inside this case ring, so I'm just going to unscrew the screws that hold it in, that expand the ring, if that's what it is, and then this case ring should fall out. See if we can get it out with the broken off stem as well. If we look at the case back quickly, just for reference, you can actually see it has the old lead gasket. So lead is corroding. I think I'll need to get a screwdriver blade and kind of pry it up. We're going to get rid of that, of course. But this is a lead gasket. It's before they used rubber. Just kind of need to get underneath it like that, and we can gently pry it out. It's quite efficient in its own way. You do find that sometimes these lead gasket can really, it's almost like they swell when they corrode, and they can be quite hard to get the case backs off. And there's quite a bit of dirt coming off of that. But yeah, no, it's a nice stainless steel case, and see how the dial looks, see what we do with the case. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's see if this dial is worth doing anything with. Wow, look at that. What more would you want? That is super cool. And it's in really good condition. So you can see why I was a little bit excited. I have looked at this before, so I knew what was underneath. but it was a bit of a gamble buying it with this crystal. That is the correct crystal I bought it with, and it did look like that when I got it. So first time looking at this, very happy. This is going to turn out to be a cracking watch, I'm sure of it. Just a little bit of dirt on the inside underneath the hands. Hands are very close to the dial, so I'm happy those haven't scratched. Very cool with the red paint on the second hand. I believe that is original. And here you can see on the case ring I was talking about, there's this steel wire that you expand with the case screws, and you can see it has like a beveled on the underside, so when that bevel squeezes onto the wire, it expands, clamping the movement ring into the case. Very nice, very nice construction actually. So it's just another one. This is from the time period when Cyma just went above and beyond in their engineering department. Okay, I think next thing will be to get the case ring off. Now we can remove the stem as well. I'm going to take the rest of this movement apart in time lapse to save a bit of time on this video, because we're pretty much going to do the same when we put it back together. And looking at the condition of this dial, I do think this is going to clean up very nicely underneath. I'm going to put some new luminous compound into the hands because they've fallen out, and all compound can damage the dial. And we're probably also going to do the dots on the dial. We'll see if we'll do a little video on that later. So there we have the balance moving freely. I've fitted the shock protection jewels after they've been cleaned. Movement has been completely cleaned now, as you could see. All the parts look nice and shiny, so I'm happy about that. And yeah, now I can continue. So before I'm going to take the balance off of that and start putting the base movement, I've got a donor Cyma movement here. This is a manual wind version of this. So the reason I got that is because it seems to me it has a complete, by the fact that it doesn't go in and out, setting lever spring. Not too worried about this dial, so we're just going to pop off the hands and take the dial off quickly, and then see if we have a donor spring, as the spring on my movement broke, well, has broken a long time ago. Put that dial and hands to the side. have a look. That does look like a complete spring under there, so very happy about that. You can actually see the manual wind movement has a nicer finish on the dial side than the automatic. Probably because the automatic was already quite expensive to manufacture. They decided they need to save some money somewhere, but on the manual wind they did put in some pelage, so very nice. Anyway, I'm gonna nick this spring and we're going to fit that into the 420. So this is a 424 as the manual wind, and the 420 is the bumper auto. Here you can see I have now removed the balance cock, and the reason for that is so that I have easy access to fit the gear train, and I will have to take it off anyway to fit the pallet and the pallet bridge. It's always nice to fit the shock jewels before you do anything else, because when you put the movement back together, you know at least that your balance is moving freely. I'm going to fit the gear train in. That's the escapement wheel. It's the fourth wheel. We've got the third wheel. The third wheel has an overlying pinion that will go through the bridge, and that's where we're going to press it on the overlying driving wheel for the sweep second pinion later. I like to put a little droplet in pre-fitting the center wheel, aka this second wheel. It's not as in second hand, but it's in second driving wheel. I don't know what this L stands for, but it looks quite nice. Nicely engraved in there. You can see it. Yes. Probably a variant or some little detail. I wouldn't know. Now that the gear train is in place, it's very important to fit the setting lever screw. If you ever worked on a watch like this, I am pretty sure you have forgot to fit that at some points. And when you forget to fit that, you will of course have to take your bridge screws off again later to fit it. So that's why we want it in now. Goes in there, and I sometimes like to put a little bit of oil on it, just so that in the future, if you get any bit of moisture and stuff, it won't corrode onto the plates. Now I'm going to put a little droplet of oil just on the side wall of the barrel arbor and on the tip here of the center wheel. This comes on here, and then we have the second part of the gear train bridges that goes on here. The fourth wheel and the escape wheel. You can see all the pivots are in place and the movement's moving. Gear train is moving freely, just by gently touching that. One gear train screw is a bit deeper than the others, and that comes in here. One thing you'll notice on Cyma is that the left-hand screws, they have a little notch in them. You can see that here to indicate that it's a left-hand screw. A lot of other watches will have 3 slots to indicate the same, but not Cyma. Some watches have no indication at all, just to, you know, make your life interesting. Now it's time for the actual ratchet wheel. Very nicely made on this movement. It's beveled, high polished beveling. You have engraving on it, and you have a starburst finish in the middle. Very nice details. So the base plate movement finishing on this is lower than on the manual wind, but still very nice details. I guess they were trying to do some cost savings, because it could not have been a cheap endeavor to make something like this. Brilliant. Now the next thing I'm going to do is oil the gear train. So I'm going to put a little bit of Mobius 9010 in here. I'm going to do 9020, 9020 here and here. And the center wheel's already oiled. I'm going to do that under the microscope to make sure I get the right amount. You can see in the reflection of the light there's a bit of scratching on this movement, but there you go. Somebody's been a bit heavy-handed maybe in the past, but overall it is in pretty good condition. It was very, very, very dirty and required a lot of pegwood cleaning, which is manual cleaning with the pegwood, and several goes in the ultrasonic bath, and then in the final cleaning solution it was caked on there pretty good. But condition-wise it's pretty good condition. So I've oiled the gear train and I've flipped the movement around. I've got the right amount of oil in the jewels here with the pivots. And it's time to fit the winding and setting mechanism. Now I have this stem here, which is a bit knackered, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down and put on an extension, and then we're going to fit a new crown. As you can remember, this watch was missing a crown. Now I've been quite lucky and I've found this incredibly cool crown. That's going to look absolutely fabulous on this watch. So now that the crown has been fitted onto the stem, we'll fit the extension later and see how much we got to go out, but for now this will work. I'm putting a little bit of grease on here, like so, and dig out the winding and sliding pinions. Get them ready. First thing I'm going to do is fit the cannon pinion, which is the clutch wheel, onto the center wheel here. Feels nice and tight, so I'm not too worried about that. Next, we're going to put a little bit of grease on the sliding pinion. Put that on where it will engage with the winding pinion. And we're going to put a little bit on where it engages with the yoke. I'll try to get this to seems to be the right amount. Any touching / sliding surface will get a little bit of grease, but I try not to drown it in, some people will just drown this in oil or grease, and I try to avoid that as much as possible. I just like to keep it nice and clean and just at the right amount basically. Now I can fit the winding stem in here. Like so. And now I'm going to fit the setting lever onto there. There you go. You have to screw that on from the top side, and that's why that's the setting lever screw that goes through the movement. The concept of that is that you can get to it while you open the case back, and you can loosen it and let the movement come out. Next, I got another couple of donor parts which I've gotten from other watch here, which includes this spring. That was the incorrect spring in the watch, and then we have the new setting lever spring. First, I'm going to fit that's the yoke. It's gotten a little bit of a cleanup, had a little bit of surface rust on it. We've gotten that off now, and it looks very nice. Again, a little bit of grease where that's going to slide on the setting lever. And this very nicely machined spring will come in here. Secure that in place with a screw. Well, this little sidetrack, these two wheels are still a little bit dirty, so I'm going to give them a couple of rounds more of cleaning, and then I'll put them in again. Well, if you see that, these sliding pinion and winding pinion are now clean as they should be. I should have looked at that closer when I was putting it in, but what had happened, it had gotten solidified grease on there and had been cleaned, and I thought it was just discoloration in the metal, and then I looked under the microscope and said, oh, wait a minute, that's not good. And now you can see how clean and nice these parts look, and that's how they should be. So yeah, I get a bit distracted when I make these videos sometimes, so I've got to stop up, have a closer look, and correct any mistakes. Next photo, these will be back in place and will be where we... So now I'm back to where I was, but now with the parts properly cleaned as they should be. Just putting them in the cleaning machine doesn't always do the trick. Sometimes you need a little bit of extra work to get it where you want it to be. That's the intermediate setting wheel here. And then we have an intermediate minute wheel. Goes to the intermediate gearing from the cannon pinion, which will be for the minute hand, and then you'll have the intermediate hour wheel here that goes, and you got the hour wheel coming on top here, so that's where your gear reduction will be. We won't fit this before later. Now we have our new setting lever spring that we can fit. It's here. We have a bridge that comes on top here. So that's actually, there will be 2 screws doing 2 jobs. When you think about it, it's quite a neat solution. Did a little bit of fiddling about later, we got that in there. And it's all the way it should be. And if you pull the stem out, just for setting the time, and then for manually winding the movement. It's a little bit off now because you still have to fit the pallet to stop the gear train moving together while you're setting it. And if the cannon pin is too tight, I'll have to loosen that as well. I think that'll be fine once I get the pallet in. The thing I'm going to do now actually is fit this movement. Well, it's a movement disc or dial disc, whatever you want to call it. Such a way of doing it, but it's like an extended base plate so that this will fit nicely into the case. Actually easier for me to clamp the movement once this is on as well onto the movement holder. So there you go, so that's kind of an extending the disc. I can see there's a tiny bit of dirt on the corner there. I'll tidy that up in a bit. Yeah, I'm ready to fit the pallet and the pallet bridge and put the balance in, see if we can get this movement running again. That's very exciting. There, that's clamped down. Now it's time for the pallet fork. Come in. Like so. And the bridge comes over. It's actually a little cock because there's only 1 screw in it. Right, a little bit of fuffing around later, I found a new sliding pinion, and the watch is now setting time beautifully. There's a perfect amount of resistance in the cannon pinion, the clutch, and there's no, what was happening was that the wheel was so worn on the tip here that it wouldn't engage with the teeth, so I replaced both this intermediate wheel and the sliding pinion itself. So that's now put in setting position, and there's no roughness or anything. It's all very nice and smooth, so happy with that. Let's pop this around, and I'm now going to oil the pallet fork as a winder movement, or the pallet fork. I'm going to fit the balance. Here comes the moment of truth to see if this movement will tick back into life after being dormant for who knows how long. That's a good start. Now let's secure the balance cock in place. Well, I'll let that settle a bit, and I'm going to go and have lunch. I'm going to see how it performs when I come back. So we just put the movement onto the timing graph here, and I'm pretty happy with that so far. We haven't got the auto winder mechanism in place. And of course it puts a little bit of tension on the mainspring when it's fully wound as well. So if this had 300 degrees amplitude, that might be a problem when I fit the auto winder. So I'm happy with that. Let's pop it around dial up position. Not much difference, which is good. That's what I want. Got it to run a little bit fast. Prefer that to running slow. Usually most factories will set their watch to run about 10 seconds faster a day. That's quite standard. Very good. Let's do crown down position. Look at that settling. That's pretty good. I'm very happy with that. That's perfect. I'm happy with the way the watch performs. I'm now going to fit the overlying sweep second driving wheel. The reason why I did the time graph before that is just to make sure everything on the base movement is fine before I fit this. Sometimes you can get a bit of a wavy line as these wheels are not always running true, but yeah, that just eliminates some problems when you're working on them. So the overlying drawing wheel, you basically just press it on top like that. It's a friction fit. And then we have the sweep second pinion. Cyma, they have these nice little tension springs that tension your sweep second pinion. Now that's in place, we can start fitting the auto winder mechanism. And in this case you have an extra bridge that goes on top. I'm going to start by fitting the little pushers, or the they're not pushers, they're dampers that go on each side here. And what they do is cushion the blow of the oscillating weight each time it swings around and it's ready to hit the corner. It will hit these little dampers with the springs on. Make sure we get the correct screw. Like that, and then they're not going to go anywhere. Nice. It's a very nifty construction, and now that they've been cleaned out and lubricated, they're very nice and springy. That's good. Very nice feel to those. There we go, and now we can fit this bridge on top of the base movement. Comes here. So now that that bridge is in place, we're going to put a little droplet of oil in this bushing and in this bushing, and we might as well put a little bit of oil on this post, because now we're going to drop in the intermediate auto winder wheels. One that goes in here, that will connect to the ratchet wheel, and one that drives that wheel here, like so. And we have a little ratchet here, locking ratchet. Make sure that the spring comes on the correct way. Like there. Good stuff. Let's secure that in place. There's quite a bit of different kind of screws on this movement, that's for sure. So before we can fit the oscillating weight, we're going to put together the ratchet wheel system that is on the oscillating weight itself. Put in a bit of red oil on both sides they can do with being well lubricated. It's a little bit of wear, but it should be fine. We'll see when we put it together. It's a nice oscillating weight, so it'd be a shame if that's buggered. You could put a new center in there, but it's a bit of an operation. Well, might as well give that little ratchet a little drop of oil as well. It does not hurt. It goes like that, and it has its own little bridge. You know, because Cyma. Like so. Which has its own little screw. Then the oscillating weight comes in here. We can put some oil into the lower jewel for the oscillating weight. It's nice that it's jeweled in terms of wear, but I've had them cracked before, so. Now we'll put a little bit of drop of oil on the top post here as well. And with that, we can secure the oscillating weight. There we go, all the right screws in the right places. And wasn't too hard, was it? This really is a movement that, you know, can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes. It's got a bit of wear and it's a bit beaten up, but overall it's actually pretty good. You got to remember that this thing is almost 70 years old, and what we've done is we've given it full clean, reserved it as it is, and yeah, as long as it performs fairly well, keep times, and the auto winder works, like, what more do you want? Well, I know what I want. I want dial and hands. Also giving the case a once over, as it was looking pretty beat up, and the dial is so nice, I figured it would look really nice with a bit of a polish. Look at that. That's I'm quite happy with that. How this is all cleaned up, and I've applied Lululem's compound in the hands on the dial. It's also crumbled and was lying all over the dial. Hands actually came out quite nice. A little bit of patina on the markers, but overall, not going to complain. This is fantastic. So now I'm going to fit the case ring. Then I'm going to plop it into the case. And I have also refurbished the case quite mildly, but I just want, this is one of those watches I want to do a full transformation on, and you'll see that in a little moment when this all comes together. So now we're going to fit this pretty cool case ring construction. So we'll have 2 holes in the case ring, and on the disc that is an extension of the base plate, we have these 2 posts with thread in them, and that's literally where we screw it. We'll put screws into these posts, and that's how you attach the case ring to the movement itself. That's on here now. Very nice way to secure the movement. Overkill, but that's the way Cyma likes it. Next, to fit the case onto the movement. So, little movie trick. I turned this around because I'd put it in the wrong way. I doubt this stem's gonna screw it down, because I think the stem is too short. Yes, it's way too short. So what we're going to do now is fit a stem extension, and hopefully the stem extension will fit in here. I actually found something better than the stem extension, and that was a longer crown. So yeah, that's actually so long I'm going to cut it down. But before I cut it down, the movement's now lined up in the case. I'm going to fit those screws that hit the ring in the movement ring. So the wire that goes in there makes the wire expand, and I'll kind of squeeze up against between the movement ring and the case. Very, very cool. This is what a lot of exclusive watches today should use. This is a very nice way of doing it. Very nice, secure way of securing your movement into the case. There we go. So the movement is super secure in there. All I need to do now is shorten the stem for the crown, and hopefully we're close to the finish line then. And there we go. You know what? I've actually gotten the movement in there. Look how nice and flush the crown is. That's beautiful. What do I think of the Cyma bumpers? Well, I really like them. They are a lot of work usually. They're quite, I've had a few that's been really beaten up. I have a few that's been really nice. So it's very up and down, but they're more work than the regular watch or automatic. I should put my price up on bumpers really, but I haven't done it yet. We'll see in the future. Really look how that cushions the so smoothly. Really got to bump quite hard to make that do, but you know, the bumper's working, it's winding, it's got good amplitude, and we'll just have to test the power reserve. I think it's time to put the case back on. I'm just going to quickly have a look under the microscope, make sure there's no fibers in here. That looks very clean. I think this was a really nice save. Here you can see the case back. Case backs really like to go exactly on the right position, and then it will screw down. There we go. Get my case back ball. Give that a little bit of a tighten. So that's nice on there, nice and tight. And you can see there's a couple of scratches left on the case back, but I did, there was some really, you can see the one going straight over the Cyma logo. But I did get rid of some of them around the corners, but I really wanted to keep this non-magnetic waterproof shock absorber. These are very, very light engravings on the back, and the Cyma automatic, so I'll just have to live with that scratch. But you know what, I try to do a little bit of, make it as nice as it can be without losing any detail or too much of detail, so I'm pretty happy with that. So are you guys ready to see how it turned out? Look at that. Now I'm super happy with this. Speck of dust there, yeah. I think this turned out what you would say pretty spectacular. So if you go back to the beginning, look at the before picture and the after, I would say this is pretty much as night and day as you can get. I've not restored the dial, that was just how nicely it cleaned up. And of course a new crystal makes a huge difference. I gave the case a polish, followed the, pretty much did it to the original design. It had the vertical brush down here and high polish lugs. And yeah, it's I think this has turned out really nice. Find a nice strap for it, and test it on my wrist because I'm lucky. This is actually my watch. It might come up for sale, as I've spent way too much money on other watches and cars, but it'd be hard to let this one go. Where will you find a dial like this and such a cool movement? Anyway, if you enjoyed this, leave a comment and let me know what you think. And the obvious things is to say, you know, like, subscribe and all that, but if not, I'm happy you've enjoyed the video. And until next time, have a good one. There we go, look at that. Little bonus material. I had to put it on the strap which I had lying around. Probably not the final strap for the watch, but I needed to put it on something. It's every day I wear something as shiny and nice as this. Look at that dial, it's just gorgeous. Birds are singing. It's 7:45, so I worked pretty late today. I'm pretty knackered, but I have to say I'm very happy with the result here. I just love that crown. It just really goes really well with this watch, and just love everything about this watch. Such cool movement, and the case turned out beautiful. It's a beautiful case to start out with, and with this dial and everything, I think this is a success story, I would say. All right, as I said earlier, until next time, have a good one.